The rejection email was already drafted. Elena Ward, CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech firms in North America, stared at the man sitting across from her and felt nothing but certainty. He didn't fit. Not here. Not now. "Thank you for coming in, Mr. Carter," she said, her voice calm, professional, final. "We'll be in touch." Daniel Carter nodded, forcing a polite smile. He had heard those words too many times before. As he stood, adjusting the worn cuff of his jacket, Elena noticed something she hadn't before, a small plastic dinosaur peeking out of his coat pocket. He didn't belong here, she thought again. Daniel was a single father. That was clear from his resume, though he hadn't said it aloud. 5 years of contract work. Gaps in employment. No elite university. No shiny executive polish. Elena's board wanted brilliance wrapped in confidence, someone who could command a room, not someone who looked like he might apologize for existing in it. Daniel reached for the door. That's when the building lights flickered. Then the alarms began. Red warnings flashed across the massive screens lining the executive floor. Engineers jumped from their desks. Phones rang. Someone shouted, "System instability, core servers." Elena stood abruptly. "What's happening?" A senior engineer shook his head. "We don't know. The system it's unraveling. We're losing control of the platform." This wasn't just a glitch. Their company powered financial systems across the US, the UK, and Canada. Millions depended on them. If this collapsed, markets would freeze. Hospitals could lose access to data. Airlines could ground flights. An impossible crisis. Elena felt something unfamiliar tighten in her chest. And then she heard Daniel's voice. "It's stabilizing, but barely." Everyone turned. Daniel was standing at the nearest monitor, eyes locked on the cascading data. He hadn't asked for permission. He hadn't been invited. Yet his hands moved with quiet confidence, fingers tracing invisible patterns in the air. "You're running a recursive failover loop," he said calmly. "It's feeding back into itself." The room fell silent. "That's impossible," one engineer snapped. "We tested." "You tested for isolated failure," Daniel replied, not unkindly. "Not for simultaneous regional latency spikes. Look, here, here, and here." He pointed. The data told the truth. Elena stepped closer. "Can you fix it?" Daniel hesitated. "I can try. But I'll need access." For a split second, Elena thought about protocol. About security. About how she had just rejected this man. Then she nodded. "Give him access." Daniel sat down at the console as if he had always belonged there. Minutes passed like hours. The room buzzed with fear. Elena watched Daniel's face, focused, steady, not chasing recognition. He worked the way exhausted parents do when a child is sick, patiently, completely, without panic. "Why didn't you mention this experience in the interview?" she asked quietly. Daniel didn't look up. "Because no one ever asks about the work you do at 2 a.m. when everything's on fire," he said. "They ask about titles." A memory stirred in Elena, her own father, a factory worker, fixing machines after his shift because no one else would. She had forgotten that version of success. Suddenly, the alarm stopped. The red screens faded to blue. "It's stabilizing," someone whispered. Daniel leaned back, exhaling. "You'll need to rebuild the redundancy model." I left notes. The room erupted in relief. Applause broke out. Someone laughed. Someone cried. Daniel stood. "If that's all, I should go. My daughter gets out of school soon." Elena felt something crack. "Wait," she said. He turned. "I rejected you," she admitted. "Because I thought you didn't fit." Daniel nodded. "I understand." "No," she said, voice tightening. "You shouldn't have to." She looked around the room, at the executives who had frozen, the experts who had panicked, and the single dad who had quietly saved them all. "I don't need someone who looks perfect," Elena said. "I need someone who shows up when it matters." Daniel's eyes flickered with surprise. "I can't offer you a job today," she continued. I want to offer you a partnership. Flexible hours. Real support. And a seat at the table, if you want it. For the first time, Daniel smiled fully. Not out of pride, but relief. My daughter comes first, he said. As she should, Elena replied. Weeks later, Elena watched Daniel leave early again, rushing to a school play. Some board members had questioned it. She shut them down every time. Because she had learned something in that impossible crisis. Brilliance isn't always loud. Leadership isn't always polished. And the people who carry the most responsibility often ask for the least in return. Sometimes, the ones we reject are the very ones who can save us, if we're human enough to let them.